We're live now, everyone. So just please note that we're live, and we'll get underway. So welcome to the extraordinary meeting of Council for Wednesday, the 18th of February, 2026. There's not a great deal of business to attend to today, so this should be quick. There's a couple of items in open public forum, and then one item to be attended to in public excluded business. To get underway then, apologies. We have apologies from Roger, who's not able to be with us today, and our chairman is currently on leave from Council in Australia. He was still alive a couple of hours ago when I spoke to him on the phone, so that's good news. Any other apologies that we need to register?
Yeah.
We'll move those. Seconded by Jeffrey. Thank you. Someone, can you just check they're muted? Dave, are you muted on your laptop right now? Yep.
Wait, we're not again.
I think we're good to continue.
You unmuted, you got the cross on the end of it. You got
Any declarations of interest?
No, you got it. You're right.
Okay, thank you. Reports. First one is 4.1, the submission on simplifying local government proposal. I know that the council have workshopped this last week. I was absent, but I watched with interest the video recording of it later on to hear what range of concerns heard. But over to you, Marcus.
Thanks very much, Chair. Today got the draft submission for the simplifying local government proposal. So as we've sort of talked through previously, it is a draft or proposal at this stage. It's not a bill. There's no bill in front of the House. It's more just an understanding of what their thoughts are and seeking thoughts from the sector, just to make sure that they express them before they make some significant policy decisions and introduce a bill. So there's a draft submission circulated in the agenda, and we've made some changes this week, which I'd like to talk through to the draft. So my plan is to put it up on the screen, if that's okay, and we'll talk through the different pieces that are potentially looking to update from the circulated draft.
So there was a copy of the draft submission that accompanied the agenda, and what you're going to share with us is some further refinements to that that have been made in the last couple of days.
That's correct, and that's purely just to align with sector, the wider regional sector, include Kahika as well, just so that I guess the whole regional sector is saying the same core principles and that our submission So effectively, I'll talk through a couple of key points, and the exec summary is a bit of a précis of the general direction of the submission, and then talk about any of the proposed changes as we get to them. So paragraph 4, so what we heard in the workshop was the Environment Southland agrees with that reform is timely. We strongly oppose the suggested timings and have grave concerns about the shape of the reform proposal. The suggested approach undermines democratic legitimacy, underestimates the workload of mayors, and dismisses the contribution of the regionally elected officials. Under paragraph 6, we've got grave concerns about the proposed timeframes and the ability of the proposed combined territories board to effectively govern regional functions. Into paragraph 7, the government proposal to advance the simplifying of government reform in parallel with resource management reforms, reductions of rates capping, and a range of other reforms poses a significant delivery risk, and effectively implementation of these reforms is critical. So timing-wise, now is not the best time. Paragraph 9, we consider changes that have been set out in the draft proposal's consultation document require a deeper level of understanding of the functions, responsibilities and services that the regional council provide to the region. So effectively down paragraph 13, Environment Southland considers that the current local government commission process to review governance in Southland should take precedence over the simplifying local government proposal. Any key findings from the local government commission process must be incorporated into the broader review of local government. So that's generally what we heard through our workshop with councillors, and I'll work into some of the key changes. So paragraph 14 there, I'll just make it a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easy to see on the screen. So effectively, we consider that regardless of the future shape of regional government, our key functions must continue to be delivered at a regional scale. These include natural resource management, flood protection and river management, biosecurity and pest management. I'm happy for questions at any stage or a differing opinion as well, Chair.
So there's a number of paragraphs that have been amended in this version. So as we step through those paragraphs, I think it's appropriate to pause and see if there are specific comments on that specific paragraph amendment. And then at the end, we will also zoom out a little bit and just look at the complete picture overall and confirm that people are comfortable with it. But I guess what we're seeking here is for people to alert us if they've got any concerns that are significant with the amended paragraphs. Otherwise, we'll kind of take it that people are comfortable with the fact that the edits add additional value to the submission.
Chair, if I can add, I think there's a further modification in clause 12, just a minor one around, just can you scroll?
Yeah, sure. One line, one phrase.
Sure. Just around non-assisting involved. Yeah, sure. 15. Would be useful, Chair, to make sure we're councillor comfortable as we move through section to section.
Yeah. You had a comment on
yes, if we're going to do it bit by bit, if we just go back to paragraph 8, on the second last line, you say council encourages government to consider adopting. I wondered whether that word is strong enough and you could use another word such as urges. You can't say demands, I suppose, but
or strongly encourages.
make that a little bit stronger, yeah.
So make that change, Chair.
Anyone object to that refinement?
No.
Was it one?
I'd say demands, but
No, that's a good one. Thank you.
needs.
Well, as we step through it, so back to paragraph 14 then. Were there any concerns with that addition?
I think it reinforces our whole discussion.
Yeah.
I think what it does is capture, so it's really clear what we're thinking.
Should biosecurity, though, Chair, come under a reformed territorial authority or some reform?
I think the key thing there is, through your Chair, is it's delivered at a regional scale. So if it was regional scale, then
It would encompass that. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, I have noted the original 14 has been sort of split in two and sort of lost a wee bit, I think, to the new 15 and 16. If that sounds right.
So that's spilled out into the next section. Yeah.
Yeah, so the original 14 was quite a lot in regards to how important Southland is in a lot of industry. That's now a little briefer, a lot briefer in 15, the new 15. And does it carry over to the 16?
yes, it does.
Sort of, I don't know if it's as weight impactful.
Yeah.
Okay, so just on this addition at paragraph 14, is everyone comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone who's uncomfortable with that edit?
Right.
Okay, good, thank you. So moving on then to local context Southland and environment Southland. We're looking at a couple of amendments there in paragraphs 15 and 16. And you're saying this one you sense that there is potential for a dilution of.
I just think that the two new ones have diluted what the original had of 14. But that's just me personally.
My view is that it's actually reinforced it by splitting it into two separate issues that makes them stand alone in their own right. So disagree with Councillor Evans.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Nor the last.
Nor the last.
If we were to consider those paragraph 15 and 16 together, do we believe that it's, I was going to use the term adequate, but actually we want to ensure that it's adequate plus.
So, Chair, if I can add, I guess one of the things we were trying to do, I think, in the new 16 was just provide a bit of detail around actually how significant these industries are to our economy, to New Zealand's economy, by putting in, just the percentage of the dairy herds, that sort of thing, which was not, that detail wasn't there before. So we're just providing a wee bit of, is that fair, Marcus? I'm probably speaking.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Effectively, it's trying to outline that, with the current level of regulation and the involvement of the regional council, that the region is still producing really, really well.
With some more detail.
Chair, I think all that extra detail highlights just how important Southland is to the whole New Zealand economy.
Whereas with the two new breakdowns, we sort of lose a lot of the, 4 long, large, high energy rivers, which in sensitive environments, we sort of, there's points made in the original that sort of don't seem to be, they sort of seem to be a wee bit more condensed than the two new ones.
John.
Yeah, Chair, can we just make sure we go through the chair, please, because we're sort of jumping the queue a bit. I think these paragraphs are really important because a lot is kicked off with ECAN and Southland creating barriers. And I think the reality is mostly the development and action currently in the South Island and all of New Zealand is happening in these two regions through dairy conversions and expansion. So I think it's really important we nail that well, that it's been done responsibly, but still being, these are drivers for the New Zealand economy. And so I think it's just really support making that clear. Thank you.
So noting that concern from Paul, maybe what we do is we step through it, continue to step through it, and we can circle back and say, is there a need to add any further addition to re-emphasise something that may have been lost in the...
We might have to leave it the way it is, or just have a wonderful piece of...
Okay. So no objections to paragraph 15 and 16 edits? Thank you. Moving on then, I think current paragraph 21 has got a small, paragraph 20 has got a small one.
Yeah, through the Chair, just removing environmental and changing it to natural resource management.
Yes.
And in the next paragraph,
Paragraph 21, looking to remove including pest incursions and basically keeping biosecurity matters as the more broad term for those matters.
any concerns with those two small minor edits in those two paragraphs? No, thank you.
24, there's putting the just changing Ngāi Tahu Kennedy Hiku to proper spelling.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, Chairman. Sorry, back at 18, and the area needs to be in italics.
Excellent. Correction? No, don't apologise. That's good. John, you had a comment?
Just no, I was waiting till he gets the number.
Okay, you're registering. So 25 was the next one? Or did I bypass one?
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification here, it's actually more changes on here than what's in red. Some of these numbers are moving quite apart. So the 2 points you were talking about window before, and yeah, I just wanting to make sure things are the same, and yeah, there's a lot of changes in here. Can I ask a question on the old 22? Is that right? I had a problem with the thing at the end. It said Environment Southland would like to see the proposed CTBs replaced by a modified local government commission reorganisation process without the voting process at the end. And I didn't actually understand what that meant at the end of the local government process. Does that mean we don't have a public vote on what goes forward? I mean, that's what I took it to mean. And furthermore, in another place about the minister, the locals in Southland should have the final say on this.
Are you able to clarify where that piece currently sits, under what paragraph
Yeah,
number?
thanks, Phil.
I think you've changed.
It's the old 22, new 28.
28. Okay, so let's have a look at that one. Just
So we could add to that.
Through you, Chair, if I may answer that one. So the standard process under the Local Government Commission one concludes with a poll, which is the do you adopt this particular proposal? Yep. The reason that we have suggested that that be removed is typically that's where these local government commission processes founder. The government is likely to introduce this model of reform with a view to completing a wholesome reform of all of local government. And so therefore we felt that it was more palatable as a suggestion to the government to remove that aspect, because it is their commitment to drive through local government reform, not to drive through local government reform and then have the people reject it. So that's why we removed that stage of the process as a suggestion. So they would follow all other aspects. So there's fulsome community consultation stages within that process. And so there is opportunity for democratic participation.
And so if we add at the end of that, at the end of the process, I think that's what you're getting at, Councillor.
Well, actually, if you can't convince the people that it's actually worthwhile, given they want change now, I would struggle with that. I still think it should go to a poll.
So it's an interesting one, because I had noted that we are asking government to allow our local government commission investigation to run its course. That's what we are suggesting. If the government is seeking to drive local government reform across all of New Zealand, if they were to leave that in its place, they might see that as a risk to their reform effort, because we could get all the way to the end, have a referendum with the public of Southland who say, no, thank you, we want to stay exactly as we are today, and see no change result. If my read of the situation is, if the government saw that as a significant risk of occurring, they might not actually even allow us the luxury of, if we call it a luxury, of allowing the local government commission to run its course, albeit with a slightly modified final step. So I think the question for us is, do we want to die in a ditch on that local government commission investigation as it stands, or as proposed at the outset, with a public referendum or vote at the end of it? Or do we say we want it to run its course, but we're happy to modify that final step? I think that's the crux of this question here.
Yeah, how sure are we that that would be an option, that the LGC might come out and say a referendum at the end?
That's the process.
That is the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the
My understanding is there's a number of go-stop gates throughout, and that is the final gate.
That's the final gate.
That's the final gate, yeah, but they may not accept that. If the
When you say they,
the LGC,
they may not accept it.
well, yeah, just inform me. I thought that was our request to them. No, it's not. It was theirs, was it?
It's part of their process.
Oh,
that
right.
They have a poll at the end.
Yeah,
That's
right.
And that's
Sorry, I just need to get myself. I've been absent a bit lately.
Yeah, no. So that's the standard journey that we would expect for a local government commission investigation, as I understand it. Sorry, David.
Well, I guess there's a bit of a right reply. I think all through this document, you talk about the democratic process and wanting democracy. And then you give it to a politician in Wellington to make the final say, and you don't give the people down here a chance. So if you can't convince the people of Southland that whatever change you've got up is worthwhile, maybe it isn't.
I
think there's probably a lot of people around the table who wouldn't disagree with you, and probably feel that the proposal as it's currently framed might be somewhat imposing a particular solution on the public of this region and the rest of the regions who don't have a unified unitary authority at the moment.
Through you, Chair, we tried to take a pragmatic line in how we've shaped up this proposal, particularly with respect to that, recognising that through this proposal the government has signalled its commitment to reforming local government, and so we were, I guess, trying to lead them down a particular path for a positive suggestion on an alternative as was workshopped the other week, but present something that removed what they may see as fatal flaw fishhooks from the proposal, because in our view we couldn't envisage central government saying we'll hand it over to a local government commission process, but we'll leave it up to the people of each region to decide, because we suspected that most would go, we're probably fine with the current arrangements, more or less. So, but we are happy, obviously, it is your submission and happy to take direction on that.
So I guess the question is, you could either leave that final sentence of paragraph 28 in there, or we could remove that paragraph from the other way of responding to that. What are there thoughts on that question from the council members? Morris?
Well, what we're suggesting is that what we're saying on one hand is that we support the local government process, but then we're saying we want it to be modified a bit so that the voting process at the end is removed. Is that what we're saying? Mm-hmm. So, in principle, I agree with that actually, although I do see it difficult. Some difficulty in persuading them, then that's a good idea. But those points that you both raise are very important. I don't have a lot of faith in
CTV.
No, the voting process at the end, which won't probably be participated by everybody. It'll be people that are really interested. So it's likely that it won't be a true representation of the community, and it could lead to a bad outcome as well. So I'm pessimistic that request would be accepted, but I am supportive of it staying in there for those reasons.
Lyndall's waiting to speak, but I might go to Rob first.
What the discussions I've been hearing in Wellington is I think the Minister has agreed that this process can continue. But what that means is a bit uncertain, and so the talk is that out of the process, that product would then be delivered to government to decide is this an appropriate proposal to take forward, and then insert into their government process. Is that what you're hearing through RMG?
That is correct, and certainly the communication from the Minister is that he doesn't actually have the ability to intervene just in terms of the relationship between himself and the local government commission, as it is an independent body.
So whether we actually need that final bit in there is the question I guess I'd ask, because we're saying it, we like that the local government commission process can continue. Maybe the word is to then inform the final shape of reform in Southland. Would that be a way through?
It would be a way through.
Would you be more comfortable with that approach, David?
Yes, it would.
And I think we can all see where you're coming from. We all have an inherent concern around how the final steps of the process and how much influence we will have at a regional level versus how much we'll have centrally. I'm going to go to Lyndall and then Eric.
Yeah, I think we have to remember to take the end of that sentence in the context of the whole paragraph, and in particular the sentence that it's in. This is suggesting that the CTB process, which none of us want, I think, be replaced by the LGC reorg process. and therefore not the voting vote at the end. So for me, it is more important for us to be suggesting a good alternative, a workable alternative to the CTBs by using the parallel process that we've already got going on as the model. That's my understanding of that paragraph, and that's why I'm okay with what appears to be the removal of democratic input, but isn't, in my view. So just bear that in mind when you're deciding whether to take that bit out, because it's actually a suggestion to swap out the CTBs with what our local government commission process comes up, which then feeds into later recommendations in the paper.
Thank you for pointing that out and acknowledging that the CTBs might also have a appointed commissioner who has the final vote.
And our recommendations along those lines are good too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wonder if some qualification after we stick with the LGC vote at the finish, or something like if a clear mandate was delivered by a plebiscite, or you call it a vote, and because it won't be. If we have 40% vote in a local government election, that's a win, and you're not going to get more than 40% of the people engaged in this process. And, you know, I just think leave it in there, but kind of qualified that government should acknowledge if a clear mandate for that last process is acknowledged, and it won't be.
So on that basis, the modification that Marcus has been busy making on the screen currently reads, Environment Southland would like to see the current LGC process continue to determine the best solution for Southland. Yep. And would you then anticipate deleting the following sentence?
Through you, Chair, we do make a positive suggestion for the rest of the country too, because why not? And that would be that modified local government commission process. So we're being helpful to the government. I am happy with regards to my CE's suggestion about removing that piece which says, because we've already said that it should be a modified local government commission reorganisation process. The reason I think modified is important is that we're hearing through RMG that the government is very concerned about the cost of this, as we similarly are highly concerned about the cost of this. And so by introducing the qualifier modified, that means that the government could look at making a less costly process. And so happy to lose that last bit of that sentence. But I think it is important to have a view to what else the country might benefit from, as well as stating a position for ourselves, because it gives a cohesive view of the system for the government's consideration.
To reinforce my growing, I was going to say hatred, but it's not quite, about the CTBs, I still think we should refer to them in there somewhere, Marcus, as this being the alternative to the CTBs, because we clarity.
I agree with you.
We don't necessarily want them. Well, I don't. It's not in their current format.
I'm with local government commission.
The proposed, because maybe that can be modified too.
Mm-hmm. So you've got proposed here twice now. Right. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's important work this, because this has a flow-on impact for local democracy in New Zealand and Southland. So please don't sense that we're tending to minutiae, that's not important. But is everyone kind of comfortable with how that's currently worded as shown on the screen up there? Any objections to that? Okay. Now, I think in jumping to 28, did we skip over any
26.
26.
Paragraph 25, I think is where we
Yeah.
It talks about our infrastructure and investments and resilience for our communities and productive use of land.
So this is essentially foregrounding the significance of that infrastructure management and investment. John?
Can we, just because we're at the start of the agreement with Canoa, can we find a way of plugging it in to say that this is a 5-year plan and, we won't be here in 5 years if this is where we're going. So it'd just be great to highlight how many $1 million we're committing with the government. It's a partnership, but also some exposure there too.
Them and us.
Yeah.
Or is that a footnotable thing? Would you add that as a footnote, the value of that co-investment in conjunction with Canoa?
Through you, Chair, I'd say it's significant enough to put in a paragraph.
Okay.
I think we would not just note the quantum, but to Councillor Pemberton's point, the time frame. And just as a side note, I'd note our Marcus and Shana's significant success in landing points for the government in the recently released National Infrastructure Plan with respect to the critical importance of regional scale flood infrastructure. So well done, team. Sorry, showing off now.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is referred to in the next paragraph. Canoa funding is referred to in the next paragraph, so you don't want to be repeating them.
So let's have a look at paragraph 26. New paragraph 26 as shown on the screen behind me. So I think the point that you were making, John, is that within one of those two paragraphs, you want to emphasise the quantum and the timing both of that Canoa co-investment.
Probably does so in that one. Yes.
Yeah, so it's probably better in 26 you're suggesting.
So you want to actually see the dollar terms included in that paragraph, John?
Don't know, can we do dollar terms within tranche 3 signed, but I guess
We would
duration.
through you, Chair, we would probably specify tranche 1 and 2. We wouldn't be in a position to specify tranche 3, unfortunately.
But we could indicate the potential and the term of the contract.
Through you, Chair, yes.
Yes, so yeah, that quantum of money in tranche 1 and 2 and the time frames over which that was to be managed and implemented.
Not in the separate sentence.
And I guess that, do we here today expect Marcus to nail this on the screen behind us as we talk, or we're going to afford him the luxury of revisiting this without the pressure of 10 or 11 heads sitting around the table watching the screen? David?
Just as another comment, in the recommendations, you've also got the same sort of thing, conclude with the Minister of Government. Does not include a final poll, rather it should conclude with the Minister for Local Government's approval under point 3. So I would expect that amended to be the same.
Through you, Chair, we will pick up those consequentials. And if I might suggest, we might add in we could move to add in a recommendation that the Chief Executive be delegated to pick up these minor edits and consequential changes from the direction you give us today.
That's a good one. Thank you. You'd be concerned at that suggestion. So 27 onwards. The next one is in the tail end of that.
Yeah, just through the Chair, just noting the regional development strategy and creation of this regional development agency, just making a slight correction there.
Okay.
28, a couple of changes with the words, changing from have to are and change to initiated, or from initiated to involved, and also a sentence at the bottom end around the current local government commission process continue to determine the best solution for Southland as opposed, which is what we talked about a few minutes ago. About Great South regional development framework.
Then there's quite a period without any further through to 47, is it?
That's correct.
Achieving.
Yeah. Recommendation under democratic legitimacy, the last bullet point hasn't got the capital A.
I particularly liked recommendation 3 under those ones.
So just to confirm, it is, oh, yeah, same, yeah, good. Right, so thank you for that one, Morris, and then moving forward to the next 47. Did you want to explain or justify?
Yeah, so effectively, this next section is about achieving successful system change. So I do find that the key regional functions continue to be delivered as part of the new system, and that they include natural resource management, flood protection, river management, fire security, and pest management. It's also critical that strong representative governance remains at the core of any future arrangements, ensuring decisions reflect community priorities and support successful delivery of these essential services. We've removed a little bit around critical representative governance for successful delivery of communities. Those matters are really important. So just some slight improvements to the wording in our view.
Yep, and that is the last major edit that we'll be looking at. How do people feel about that change? Paul?
Just going back to new 46.
Yeah.
It says there as a minimum regional council chairs should be a member of the CTB. Is that chair or is that chair and deputy chair?
Yeah, so there's just a
because I don't think the deputy mayors are going to be part of the CTB.
so should it be that they should be read as CTBs because of the chairs of very many regions on many CTBs plural.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what we're looking at as a small tweak.
Yeah.
Any objections with the new paragraph 47 as it currently reads on the screen?
Mr. Chairman, just again, just go back to those recommendations. The second bullet point refers to the
Final
deleting the final poll too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we change that to be consistent.
And as we discuss any changes to the text, if there's a cascading flow-on effect to a recommendation, we would expect that recommendation to be adjusted to reflect the intent of the change in text.
I'll just take out that whole sentence there.
For now, Linda, is your comment on the specific? Edit?
Just a plural rather than a singular in the first recommendation under achieving successful system change. Provide adequate tools. Or do you just want one tool?
We'll take a whole
There's a couple of tools in the cabinet.
So just zooming out from the specific edits that we've discussed, is there a sense that there's been a fundamental weakening, dilution, or otherwise a strengthening and improvement of the document? And is there any broader concerns at how the current document is looking?
I would use one word, clarity has improved.
Improved clarity?
And mine would be it's much stronger and forthright. And covers everything that we talked about.
Is there any concerns that folk would like to register at this point? That sounds pretty positive. So returning to the recommendations for this agenda item, it was recommended that the council resolve to receive the report. 2 was to review and consider the content of the appended draft submission. I'm simplifying the local government proposal, and to make any necessary amendments and approve the submission for lodgement. And so perhaps what we'll do is let's add a 4th recommendation to delegate to the chief executive.
Make minor edits and ensure consequential changes are made to the submission as a result of the direction provided at the meeting today.
It's right out of my mouth.
Where's that?
We've made the necessary amendments and approved the submission for lodgement.
Number 3 still stands as it is written.
Might the order of the make that donation.
Thank you. So within that, just to note that Jan's additional sentence will actually become number 3, and what's listed there as number 3 will become the 4th recommendation. And you're happy to move that, Paul?
Happy to move that.
I'll see you, John. Happy to, I'll go,
I'll
John.
give it to Jeff.
Jeff, happy to second that. Jeffrey, thank you. So all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you, carried. Which takes us to the next item. Scrolling down. This is amendment to the resolution on draft dangerous dams, earthquake-prone dams and flood-prone dams policy. So, Hayley, you're going to update us on this development.
Yes, thank you very much, through you, Chair. So, as per the previous notice of motion, the resolutions here are to revoke and amend the resolution. The amended resolution refers to the draft policy, which we also have a resolution seeking the adoption of the dangerous dams, flood-prone dams and earthquake-prone dams policy. Now, I would note that the Appendix 1 and Appendix 2, as attached to this report and as referred to in this set of recommendations, is the updated one, which contains those amendments that were referenced in the notice of motion that was presented to you last week by Councillor Ludlow. We include amended Appendix 1 for your information only, and no resolution is required to reflect the changes in Appendix 1, as Appendix 1 is not a policy but an explanation document. We included this so that you could see that the discussion that was held in the last strategy and policy committee meeting is reflected in that amended or updated, as it's described in this report, updated Appendix 1. The changes to the draft policy are those that reflect now the conversation that was held at the last strategy and policy committee meeting. For example, the footnotes are included and the notice requirements are now consistent throughout the document, and the error bookmark, not defined exclamation mark, has been removed. My apologies for the errors that were in the original stuff.
So this was very much a tidying up exercise.
That is correct. This is an important policy.
Important.
That is a legal requirement. We want to make sure that we have a robust and correct process with respect to our standing orders.
And that's because also there is liabilities that could become inherent upon the council if we get this wrong.
That is correct.
Are there any questions of Hayley on this item? Linda, you might be more familiar with it than anyone else. Is there any comments you'd like to offer?
No, just thank my colleagues for their patience on this one, because it just wasn't clear enough at the beginning. So happy to take that on my chin. The key recommendation of these 3 is the 3rd one, that we are actually adopting the draft dangerous dams, flood-prone dams and earthquake-prone dams policy as set out in Appendix 2, so it will no longer be draft after today.
So you're moving all 3 of the recommendations at once?
Happy to do that, if my colleagues are okay with that.
Thank you, Lyndall. We'll second that. Morris, any further questions or discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley, Jan.
Councillor Hudlo.
There is one other remaining item, but it's in public excluded, and we've now moved to public excluded. Are you able to state the
Moving
reason
into
for
public excluded business to consider item 9.1, adoption of the 2025-28 Southland Trainell Agreement. The grounds to protect the privacy of natural persons, including that of deceased natural persons, section 7.2A.
Thank you. Would someone like to move? Thank you, Jeffrey. And a seconder, David, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now pause as we move to public excluded.